I think a lot of us are quite attached to like FOMO, like fear of missing out. More in my early travels, I would get like so much FOMO, like, oh, I want to go here, but I'm scared because I'm going to miss this like New Year's Eve party or like whatever. And I used to really think if I miss this one social event, it will like be a catastrophe, you know? But like now I've missed like so many things and now I just don't really care anymore. And yeah, it's cool to go to certain events and certain social things, but like if I have to miss even like a wedding or like whatever, I'm just like, well, life goes on, you know what I mean?
How are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm good. I'm just chilling, you know. So I really wanted to get you on here and to talk to you about your lifestyle and the motivation and why you choose the Caribbean, because most backpackers, I feel like most of them that I meet, they go to Asia or Europe. There's a lot of them in Europe, like Czech Republic and that kind of stuff. But you chose the Caribbean, which most backpackers never choose. So what inspired that change? What inspired that?
I mean, to be honest, I have been to like 52 countries. I backpacked through Malaysia for 3 months, Thailand for a month. You know, I have actually also been to a lot of other countries. It's not just the Caribbean, but obviously the Caribbean is like my favorite part of the world to travel. And yeah, it's probably just because my first solo trip was to Jamaica when I was like around 19, back in the year 2013, because I was a fan of dancehall music at the time. So I wanted to go to the place, obviously, where it comes from. And I had such a good time on that trip. It obviously would naturally like increase my interest in the Caribbean, you know? So, and I think generally, like, I just always had quite a big interest in, like, with my travels, I always wanted to, like, I know it's a bit cliche, like, see how it is to live like a local and all that. And, you know, just like mix with local people and as much as I could, eat in local spots, whatever. And I think that's like easier to do in the Caribbean because they speak English. So, like, when you're in Thailand and there are so many other backpackers, well, naturally, like, who are you going to talk to? Probably other backpackers, right? Because you speak their language. They might have a question for you, you might have a question for them, ask them for a recommendation, whatever, whatever. Like, you quite literally cannot communicate with a lot of people in Thailand because I don't speak Thai. So, like, it's reduced to, like, you know, typing the thing in your phone and holding it up. Like, you can't really integrate like that. Like, I mean, I suppose I could have researched Thai music before I went to Thailand, but I probably wouldn't like it that much. Like, I like dancehall, I like soca, so naturally, if I'm in the Caribbean, like, I'm gonna end up in these parties and I'm gonna bond with local people over like our shared love for the music or whatever. So I just feel like I can, you know, make bonds and like have like local experiences way more easily in the Caribbean than in a country where, or even in Malaysia, for example. I was going through Malaysia for 3 months in like 2023 maybe or 2022, like quite recently, and you know, it was really interesting. It was fascinating. It was like different from anywhere I'd ever experienced before. And I definitely had lots of like local experiences and learned lots of things. But like, I didn't really come away with like, you know, those person to person, those really like new friend kind of experiences because,
They're so
well,
different.
there was less to bond over. Like, most people there are Muslim. I'm not religious. So therefore, I had to dress in a way that, you know, I wouldn't normally dress, didn't really feel myself. Like, you know,
No, I feel you.
it just wasn't going to happen, was it? Like, you know what I mean? So, for me, so many of my favorite, like, I don't really travel to like go to this big building or this museum. Like, the stuff that I remember the most is usually, oh, like, I met this person and they, I don't know, ended up showing me this private river, or, you know, it's like person to person stuff, or like they introduced me to their family and we went to this wedding or whatever. And that just is more likely to happen when like you at least have a shared language, you know what I mean? I don't know.
No,
So
no, I understand fully. I understand fully. Especially when it's a strict religious place, it's kind of hard to meet people and do different things, right? It's just different.
yeah, and you know, even in Malaysia, I had great, like, I made friends with these people who, yeah, they did invite me to their wedding and they came shopping with me so I could get this like long dress that I wouldn't normally wear, and they helped me choose it in the changing room, and I went to this wedding and it was fascinating. It was, and I'm just, like, so grateful for that. And you know, I do still want to travel so much more of the world, like, no way just the Caribbean. Like, I want to go to India, you know, so many places. And yeah, I'm sure it will be great, but like, it just doesn't quite hit the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how was the conversation between you and your parents when when you went to them and tell them that I'm gonna start to travel? How did that
Well, I
conversation
think
go?
it wasn't really like just it wasn't like one moment, because obviously, like I said, I took this trip to Jamaica, which was just like a 2-week trip. Like, you know, most of my, well, a lot of my first trips were just quite short, so it wasn't really like a big deal to my parents, because I mean, I was an adult. Like, my parents, I mean, I'm from England, so I think typically, like, Caribbean parents, the relationship with their kids is typically a bit different from like English parents' relationship with their kids. I feel like a lot of us, like, we move out of our parents' house when we're like 18 or 19 or 20 or whatever. So I wasn't even living with my parents at the time when I took my
Oh,
first solo trip. So it's like they wouldn't really
yeah.
try to control everything I do, like I'm an adult. So, you know, but yeah, when I first took the trip to Jamaica, yeah, they had like some questions, obviously, about like, where do you plan to stay? Like, how do you know it's safe? Whatever. But like, my parents are quite reasonable. And I think growing up, like, I had quite a lot of independence from quite a young age. Like, they would trust me to, like, I don't know, get the train to London and go to this basketball thing by myself and get the train back. And, you know, they allowed me to, like, they trusted me because I was quite well behaved, like, as a child. And they kind of knew I was quite responsible. I'm the oldest out of the children, so I would sometimes, you know, be responsible for them. So I think they generally like trust my decisions. So they wouldn't think I would do anything really stupid, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. So all that being said, right? Who? I know this is a cliche question, right? But who is Zoe Reeve? You know, like when you peel back the layers and you take away travel with Zoe.
I think I'm someone who has like very strong opinions about like what's right and what's wrong. Often end up in like quite heated, you know, discussions about that kind of thing. Um, I feel like I've never really. Well, I'm actually autistic, so this might be why, like, I have a diagnosis, like, I'm literally autistic. So for like my whole school life, I didn't really like fit in very much. You know, I was always more like just observing what everyone else was doing, because I thought it was like not. I
Yeah,
didn't really understand like why are they doing these things. Like, it doesn't seem fun. It seems childish, or, you know. So I'm accustomed to just like kind of people looking at me different, and well, I don't really care anymore because I've been different since I was a child. So, you know, yeah, I feel like I'm kind of accustomed to like observing a lot and just like being by myself a lot, and like seeing things a bit differently, like seeing things, I deem it to be seeing things logically and whatever, but other people might not see it that way. But yeah, obviously I'm vegan, so maybe sometimes the food I eat, people think it's strange or whatever. As you said, my choice of countries is sometimes maybe deemed to be strange, or my choice of traveling. So I'm just accustomed to like doing things my own way, and people thinking it's weird since I was a child. So that's probably kind of why I don't really care what people say in the comments, because it's like no one's ever thought I'm normal from when I was a child, so I just don't really care. Do you know what I mean? Um,
yeah.
yeah, don't know if that helps.
And I mean, yeah, it does. And that being said, as you talk about the comments, it's something that I always see, because I always like the way you deal with people talking about you is pretty. Like you should probably teach classes about it, because like I see people say things, and I often feel like most people think that social media is just social media, and they don't really realize that there's a person living in that body, right? There's somebody
Yeah. But like,
there.
I don't feel that bad when it happens to me, but when I see it happen to some other people, I feel so bad, because like I know that I can deal with it. And probably, like I said, I'm not joking when I say it's probably because I've been an outcast like for long. So, do you know what I mean? You can't hurt me. Like, the boys that I fancied would ask me out as a joke in school, and we all knew it was a joke, and I had to say no because we knew it was a joke. Do you get it? Like, do what you want. Like, you can't really hurt me. Like, really, you know what I mean? So, um, obviously, it can still not be nice, but like, it is what it is. Like with me, you know, they try and like insult my appearance, but like in school, I went to like a quite fancy school in the countryside where like most people looked a very certain way. So pretty much everyone was white, and there was like the typical European standard of beauty where you had to be like quite slim with, you know, like straight silky hair and this and that. But like I wasn't like fat, but I was just like how I am now, but like as a child, you know. And like I've
Yeah,
got this like curly, like frizzy hair, these quite big teeth, whatever. I never like fitted into like the aesthetic. So like, you know, I grew up thinking I was ugly. I grew up thinking I was fat. I grew up thinking my hair was too big, whatever. So like, okay, now you want to tell me I have dark circles? Okay. I grew up thinking, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not any different from how I grew up. So like, okay, like I've already been dealing with it. So like, it's not any different for me. Whereas like I know some people, they might join social media because I think a lot of people that join social media are maybe more like stereotypically beautiful than me. You know, they're maybe they actually are what most people would deem to be like a beauty standard. And then when people pick them apart, I feel like maybe it's harder for them because maybe they're not accustomed to being picked apart like that or whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry, to me it's sometimes obvious when I see like a content creator try to act like they're fine but they're not, you know. And sometimes I read their comments and I think, wow, because sometimes people will commit suicide from that, right? And like,
Yeah.
then it won't be funny anymore, right? And none of you will be laughing, but like it was you that made that happen. Do you know what I mean? And I think one thing that's really horrible is like when it's okay to have an opinion on what people do. So it's okay, like if someone makes a song that you don't like, it's okay to say like, I don't like the song, I think the song might be a bad influence. Sure, like talk about your opinion, you know. It's okay to talk about what someone's doing and say that you're not a fan of it, but then it's like, why do you have to dig at these other things? So if someone makes a song that you don't like, fair enough, be like, oh, I don't like the song. But then when they say, oh, and she's so fat, I bet she was eating this and that, or oh, and she's such a slut, and you know, when they pick at like random things that have nothing to do with what the person did wrong,
Yeah.
it's like, and it's so horrible, like makes no sense because you're not even on the topic anymore, you're just bullying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's one thing criticizing a topic, but it's another thing just like bullying. So I think people need to like,
and
just
I also feel
fair
like
enough, criticize act.
I also feel like in the Caribbean is like, and me being from the Caribbean, I would say I feel like a lot of the people, not all, a lot of them are pretty small minded in terms of like the kind of things that they think. You know, like they think that people should act with their values and with their views on the world, and they should be the same. A lot of people that's hurting in their own skin, and they try to hurt you because you're comfortable in yours.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and so many comments, like when you actually read into them, you can, if you're smart, you can like figure out in what way this is a projection of that person. So for example, I remember this one time when I did a vlog of this like party I went to, and I said, oh, I had these drinks and I had a really great time, whatever. And it was like a vlog from beginning to end, and I obviously ended it with getting into my bed. And the summary was that it was like such a good night. And then this one woman commented on it, and she was like, oh, like if you say you had such a good night out, then I know it must have ended with, you know, you sleeping with a man, basically. And in my head, I was like, oh, I actually really like just getting into my bed and like just falling asleep at the end of a good night out, like personally, but clearly this is what you need to have a good night out. Do you know what I mean? Like so many of these comments, it's just them. Like it's like they're talking to themselves. Do you get it? So I actually replied and I was like, oh no, I actually was so happy to just fall asleep at the end. And she even admitted, she goes, oh, sorry, girl, that's just what I need for a good night out. And it's like, see, like literally the comments are literally usually just a reflection of that person themselves, you know.
You traveling, right? Do you feel like you were trying to find something or you were running from something?
Well, definitely the first trip to Jamaica, which obviously sparked like other things. I think, yeah, I was really, really drawn to like dancehall music and, you know, Caribbean culture in a way in the UK. But that was probably because, as I mentioned, my school was like very white and I didn't have a good time at school. So I think I was really happy to like find something that was like different from my school. Obviously, I had left school by this point. But I think a big attraction to like dancehall music, which therefore expanded into my interest into Caribbean culture, was because I hadn't been comfortable in the culture that I'd been like placed in as a child. So therefore it felt comfortable. Like this one felt better. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you could say I was like running towards that, or you could say I was running from the original one. Like it's up to you how you phrase it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So how you think like traveling, right? How from before you started traveling to now where you travel to all these different countries, right? How you think you change?
Yeah, people ask me that a lot, but I think it's so hard because obviously I was only like 19 when I took my first solo trip, and I'm 32, so I would have changed so much from 19 to 32 anyway. So it's really hard to say like which parts was just me growing as like a person regardless, and which parts was the traveling. But generally, I think traveling for me, the way that I've traveled, it makes me just like it made me quite good at like problem solving, I think, and just like staying calm in a variety of situations and just being quite practical, because I think on my travels there have been so many times when maybe like, okay, I've got my big heavy backpack, haven't really eaten in a while, there's no vegan food around, we're supposed to take this bus, but oh no, it turns out actually on Sundays the last bus was already, it was in the afternoon, right? Like, okay, I haven't got a hostel booked here because I was supposed to leave, I'm really hungry, I'm really sweaty, I'm really tired, my bag's really heavy, there's no bus. Okay, like, well, we have a choice, either we sit down and cry or like we figure out what we're going to do, right? Like, so I think there are just so many situations where like it just teaches you there's literally no point in stressing, like the only thing that there's point in doing is doing what you have to do you know what I mean? And so I think it just really has taught me to like just kind of adapt, and you know, I really feel like you could just put me not anywhere in the world because there's like war zones, but you know what I mean, within reason you could just like put me like anywhere in the world, and even if there's like a language barrier or some kind of difficulty like really hot sun or lack of vegan food or whatever, I feel like now I would just kind of know how to like navigate that situation and be safe and be, you know,
Yeah.
as best I could. So I feel like it really helps with that, and just also with like not being fussy, you know, because I've slept in so many places. I've slept on so many different types of beds. I've slept in hot rooms, cold rooms, like with food I've eaten, you know, just with everything. I've been in families where you eat sitting on the floor. I've been in families where you eat sitting outside on a mat. I've been in families where like you share the food from a big bowl between everyone. You know, because I've just stayed in so many different places, I feel like now I'm just not really fussy about many things. Like I'm kind of okay with
Anything.
whatever is there at the time, you know.
Yeah. What do you think you learned from becoming small? Because I feel when you travel, you become small. Like no, like I mean, well, now you have a lot of followers, but like generally when you travel, you become small, right? Like no one knows who you are, and you're a nobody.
Yeah, well, I usually quite like that. I mean, obviously, like you said, now it's different. But remember, I've been traveling a lot since I was 19. So the majority of my travels, I did not have a TikTok platform. So yeah, I used to really love that feeling of like landing in a new place, if it's like a big city or whatever, and just having my backpack and just feeling like, yeah, it feels so exciting to me to like be in this big place where like no one knows who you are. And I don't know, there's just something really exciting about it, and also about not knowing anything about that place. Like I love like landing in a new place and having to take a bus and see, okay, like how do they pay for the bus, what music do they play on the bus, do people sit near each other, what's like the etiquette around like where you put your bag, like how you get the bus to stop, like all these different things. Like I just like love it. I just love yeah, that's like so exciting for me. Like being like kind of lost in like a new place is just so exciting for me. And yeah, I think obviously part of being like small or whatever is maybe that you end up in so many different like cultures and stuff like that, because you're just one small person in the whole world. And I think what that's taught me is, my personal theory or opinion is that even though cultures and countries might look so different, I feel like we all just basically want the same thing, like regardless of if you're like Muslim or if you're living in the bush or if you're, you know, whatever, if you're like a Rasta living in the hills, whatever, like regardless of what you are, I feel like we all just basically want the same stuff. Like we just want to like eat good, be loved, share love. You know what I mean? We all just want the same thing. It just like looks different in across different parts of the world, you know?
Yeah, I feel it. So
Yeah.
what was like a big eye opener for you? Like when you started, like after you decided, you know, I'm gonna just live on the road, basically, like you're just gonna be everywhere. You're just gonna travel as a like full time, right? Like what was a big eye opener for you in terms of what you thought was important to what you realize is important now?
Well, yeah, for most of my travels, I wasn't living on the road because, like I said, my first solo trip was in 2013, but I didn't live on the road until 2022.
Right.
So actually, most of my travels was like I was actually based in the UK, and I would just do jobs where I could like take vacation often, if it was unpaid vacation, whatever, and kind of go and come back on like shorter trips. So most of what I've learned on my travels has actually been from like the shorter trips. But yeah, to answer your question, I would say, yeah, I was traveling with a backpack for a lot of that time, like since May 2022, since I quit my jobs and lived on the road. And I would say it might not sound like a big deal, but actually having your life in a backpack, it obviously forces you to like rethink kind of what's important, because I was traveling with like one pair of jeans and like, you know, I would see all these things I might want to buy, and I'd go to a new country and people say, oh, have you been to the mall? You have to go to the mall. And it's like, go to the mall for what? Because if I buy something, it can't go in my backpack, so I can't buy anything. And people don't understand, like, oh, you should travel with a handheld blender. I'm like, are you insane? Like, there's quite literally no space. Like, there is literally not 1 more inch of space. Like, I can't buy anything. Or like, if you buy something, you have to like get rid of something, you know, which is also an option. You can leave something with, if you meet a friend, you can say, oh, I'll have to keep this t-shirt, you know, whatever, and then you can buy a new one. But like, yeah, that concept of like legitimately not being able to have one single more possession is like kind of interesting, because then you just have no interest really in like shopping or like really even fashion like much anymore. I mean, I was never like really into fashion, but it just reached a point where, and plus because you're traveling with not that much stuff, and there might not always be a good place to wash your clothes. It might be that today when I wake up, well, there's only really one clean t-shirt in there, so I'm just chucking that on. Like, you know, we grow up accustomed to like, what should I wear today? And like looking in the wardrobe and thinking, oh, I want to be a bit sexier, I want to be this, whatever. But then it reached a point on certain trips where it was literally just like, whatever's clean and is there, like I'll just put it on. And like that was annoying in a way. Like in a way I missed like choosing, you know, an outfit, but like in a way it makes you realize that that's actually not what really matters, you know. And actually what matters is like what I'm going to do that day and what I'm going to see, and you know, so it's like kind of freeing in a way to like not have a choice of that kind of stuff. And like even I was never really like a makeup person, but again there were certain places I stayed, you know, over the years where like there was maybe no mirror or there was only light in the daytime or whatever, so like I said, I was never really into makeup, but even doing my hair and stuff, I like couldn't really, you know, you just have to guess what you look like, and well after a while you stop caring, do you know what I mean? So it's like kind of freeing in a way, to stop caring about that stuff.
No, I understand, and I feel like it's so liberating and powerful, like the way you think, because it's a lot of it's like the way you think is what a lot of people strive to think like, even in the respective area, like the respective fields, you know. And so like a couple years ago I started writing this book, and it's called Diary of a Loner, and I'm far from finishing. So
it sounds like my life.
Yeah, exactly, right. So yeah, and it's exactly that. It's like me trying to explain to people the importance of making yourself be small or feel small, so that you learn to deal with these bigger things, you know. And I feel like everybody in their life should go through a lonely phase, where they feel like the world is against them and that kind of stuff. And once you could make it out of that, you really see the world from a bigger picture, and you realize that all these small things that we fight for every day isn't worth it, you know. Like I had because I'm in Canada, London, Ontario. So not London, England, London, Ontario. And there was a family who right before Christmas, a week before Christmas, the last day of school, their son jumped off the bus, running across the street and got hit by a car. He's gone. You know? And I really felt like I was watching that situation, and I'm like, what would you give to get everything back? You know, and you would give everything to get everything back. But chances are that you didn't realize that you had everything to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, and that comes from you really seeing that you're such a small part of the world that when you die, your family will cry, but the world keeps moving, you know, like all these like money and everything remains here. You know, all you have is your memories and your experiences, you know? So
yeah, I mean also actually, you know, I think a lot of us are quite attached to like, you know, this expression like FOMO, like fear of missing out. So I remember sometimes when I first, more in my early travels, I would get like so much FOMO, like, oh, I want to go here, but I'm scared because I'm going to miss this like New Year's Eve party or like whatever. And I used to really think if I miss this one social event, it will like be a catastrophe, you know? But like now I've missed like so many things, and now I just don't really care anymore. And yeah, it's cool to go to certain events and certain social things, but like if I have to miss even like a wedding or like whatever, I'm just like, well, life goes on, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it keeps going. So was there any like, well, I'm pretty sure there was, but like, what about the times where you felt like you wouldn't be able to eat? You know, like how did you deal with that fear? Did you just not have that fear? Were you just like, you know what, it's gonna happen some way, somehow?
No, well, I more just thought like, well, when I picked up my stuff or whatever and left in like May 2022, it wasn't really a big deal because I could always just buy a flight back. And like, yeah, I had moved out of my apartment. I was living in London by myself soon before I left, and yeah, I had moved out of there, sure, but like I'm lucky enough that I have two living parents. Well, they're divorced, so they live separately, but like there is a spare room in both of their houses. So like, yeah, I don't want to come back to England and live with my parents like permanently, but I'm just saying like if at one point something went wrong, whether it's financially or physically or anything, like on this journey, I mean, I would always make sure I have enough in my account. I wouldn't stay out there if I didn't have like £1,000 in my account. Like that would be stupid. Like I'd always have enough in my account to fly back to England. So I didn't really even think it was that risky because like I have a degree, like I have some good work experience, like I can interview well, I can speak well, I can read, write, whatever. Like if I wanted to just fly to England and like get a job, well, it wouldn't be a problem. So I didn't really even feel like I was risking much, like to be honest. Like the only thing I was risking was obviously I had spent a lot of time and energy saving this money, and yeah, clearly I was obviously going to spend it, and maybe who knows, I could regret that or whatever. But aside from that, like to me, it wasn't really like, didn't have to be like life changing because, well, yeah, I could just come back. Like, and yeah, it would be annoying. I'd have to look for a new job. I'd have to like stay by my mum for a while, which I don't want to do. But okay, I'd find a new job and I'd then rent a room or rent an apartment. It would be fine. Like, so obviously, I am lucky that I have two parents that like would welcome me in, if necessary. Like even now. I mean, I'm at my dad's house right now because clearly I'm in England and I don't have my own place. So like, I wasn't really like scared of anything like that.
Wait, so what did you go to school for?
I did French and Spanish at university.
Okay, so you wanted to be like a teacher or?
Yeah, maybe, but like it's more like I kind of was raised that's what you do. Like you go to university, like I went to quite a good school. That's just like what people do, really. So like you have to study something, right? Like so I was quite good at French and Spanish like in sixth form in school, so I just was like, okay, I'll just study that. Like I don't know.
Yeah. So are you like fluent in French and Spanish or no?
Spanish kind of, yeah. French not really. Yeah. Like I never really use it anymore. It was like 10 years ago that I graduated, so
okay, yeah,
quite a long time ago.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, so French and Spanish, that's good. So what are your like? What's your dreams?
Well, right now, like I'm just obviously still trying to grow my platforms. Obviously, TikTok's my main platform, but generally like my social media presence. So like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I definitely need to grow them because I don't make enough money from them at the moment, and like I make just enough that I can kind of do what I'm doing. But, it would be nice to make more so that I would have like more options and maybe I could take more flights more often to further away destinations or whatever. Because as it is now, I try to like really travel to one place that's close to this place, to avoid spending much on flights. And I might sometimes stay like a long time in a certain place because I don't want to spend money on another flight yet. So like I would like to make more money to just like have more options, and yeah, so I just every day, like basically every day I'm just thinking like what content can I make today, to obviously just keep trying to grow my platform. So right now my like dream is really just to make how much money I want to make from my platforms, and I don't want to be like rich. I just want to make a bit more than I make now. But yeah, I don't necessarily want to do content forever. It's just a way of me living a kind of like liberated lifestyle at the moment, but like I don't necessarily plan to do it forever, but it's what I'm doing right now, so cool, but yeah, I guess maybe one day, like, I would like to somehow maybe, I don't think I probably want to live in England because I don't like the cold, so I guess one day I would like to find a way to live in a country that's not cold, where I have people around me that I love and a nice community, if that will be with a man or if it won't be, or I don't know, whatever, like I don't know. So, I don't really plan for the future that much.
Okay, but like do you want a family or are you not even thinking about
no, I don't want to have kids.
No kids.
I don't want to have kids. I mean, I'm definitely a person that can acknowledge that anyone can change their mind about anything in life, but like as it stands at the moment, I would say I don't want kids. But yeah, I don't mind like having a like long term, I don't want to say marriage because I'm not religious, I don't really feel a need to get married, but I don't mind to like grow old with someone or whatever. Sounds nice, if you find the right person. But yeah, whatever happens, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what will happen.
You know, this question has popped in my head, and if we don't like it, we could take it out. But do you feel like you have a fear of being rejected, but not in the way that you know that somebody gonna reject you. You know, that rejection where you think it, yeah, you make the right decision and then you get rejected.
Like from what? Give an example.
Like from relationships. Not, it don't have to be with a man. It could be to a friend. It could be with a friend that you really trust. It doesn't have to be.
Oh, definitely in relationships. I hate it. With men, I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm a person that, like, apparently it might actually be like an autistic thing, or maybe a thing from like not having many friends growing up. But like, I'm a person who, if I get a bit close with someone, whether it's my boyfriend or whether it's not, like, if we just get close, like, I naturally do like loads of things for that person. Like, I'm really thoughtful, and I'll like go out of my way without being asked to, like, I don't know, if I'm out and I see this thing, their favorite food, maybe I'll like buy it. Or if like I need to tell them something, maybe I'll write them a really cute note rather than just telling them. Or, you know, I'll just do like cute things because I like to do that. And like, obviously I want someone to do that for me, like, duh. But then usually, like, obviously I can't do it thinking they owe me it, because they don't.
Yeah.
But like, you just think, oh, maybe if we're this close, like, maybe they would like do similar stuff for me, but like usually they don't. So like usually then I end up kind of resenting it, or like feeling rejected because like, oh, why am I not important enough to you? Like, I always think of you, but like maybe you don't think of me, or whatever. So I usually end up in like that kind of situation, and then like I end up taking it out on the person and being like angry, and they're like, well, I never said I was going to do this for you. Or, you know, it's like, yeah, then it feels like really rubbish. Like, if, yeah, it feels like you're being rejected, doesn't it? Because it's like, I'm putting myself out for you, but like you're not really doing that in the same way for me. So yeah, that happens to me like all the time. That's happened to me like so many times. But I have had like some nice relationships and stuff for sure. But so, yeah, that does happen quite a lot.
So that means so your love languages are acts of service. Acts of service, is it? Yeah. Like you like when people well, words of words of affirmation.
Yeah, like words of affirmation, physical touch, like they have to like be hugging me all the time, like non-stop. And yeah, words of affirmation and acts of service, yeah, for sure. But it's like quite funny because obviously I'm like hyper independent, like I'm so independent all the time that I don't really want anyone to help me with anything. But no, if it's the man that I'm involved with, I just want to be like a little baby. Yeah. I think because I'm like hyper independent in everything, you know, I've been carrying this heavy bag everywhere and dealing with all these crazy men on the street by myself and the whole world, whatever. Then I think it's like, because I'm always, you know, I do all my TikTok by myself. No one helps me. I don't have any like manager or anything. Like, so I think because I'm always, you know, quite like have to be quite full on with all these things every day and just dealing with things for myself. I think that's why then if I do like let someone in my life like that, like a man, then obviously I want to not have to be like that with them, you know?
No, I feel you. And you're right, because it was the same. So with me and my wife now, it took us a while to get like the train moving properly, because it was, I feel like in the Caribbean we show love differently, so much differently, you know. It's like here's like oh, you like words of affirmation and that kind of stuff, right? Where for us it's more like acts of service. I don't know about everybody, but for me, like with my mom, she, like me and my mom, we never really tell each other I love you. Like we just know, you know, best by just by the things that we do for each other. So then I brought that thinking into this relationship, and then it started hitting. We started bumping heads so much because she'd be like, "Oh, I don't think you love me." It's like, "Yo, what do you mean? I just cook pilau. You mean you got pilau?
Yeah,
you got pilau in the fridge, you know?" And but then you start to realize that love languages is often for the other person, not for you. You know, so so we think that everyone has our same love language. So let me do everything for them, and they would know. But then they don't know, because that's not how they see love, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it really does affect things. And I feel like Caribbean guys just different. You know, we like to act like we don't need somebody, but deep down we do. So you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's some kind of misconception. There's like a misconception that I've like dated a lot in the Caribbean, but to be honest, I actually haven't, because for like I said, the Caribbean travel started in 2013, and for a lot of that time I had boyfriends like in the UK or like whatever, so I couldn't even date on my travels. And also a lot of the trips, like back when I was taking like shorter trips, if I had like, for example, 1 week in St. Lucia, I've got this whole list of like things I want to do in that time, and there's truly like not the time to like go on a date. Do you know what I mean? Because I want to tick off these waterfalls and this and that. So I don't know, it's like a misconception really. Like I've probably actually, like, when I say dated, like really spent time like on more than like for a period, you know, probably only like 3 guys in the Caribbean or something, like not many. Do you know what I mean? It's really not. People think it's like 10 or whatever, but it's like really not. So I honestly can't even tell you that much about what I think it's like to date Caribbean men, because I honestly, one of my boyfriends was Bajan. That was like a 2-year long distance relationship, but aside from him, and I would say he wasn't like your typical Caribbean man, but yeah, aside from him, I've literally had like maybe 2 things in Trinidad, like really situationships or relationships or whatever, like in Trinidad, and that's pretty much it as far as I can remember. Like, so I don't know. I don't even know how to speak on the topic really.
No, yeah. I mean, and because it's not really like in terms of relationships like that, it's not really something that I don't think anybody should care about, because that's your personal life, right? I don't think anybody should really.
Yeah, but it is interesting. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I have like TikTokers who I follow, yeah, I find it interesting to see if they went on a date with this person. Of course I do. Come on, that's why we watch like Love Island, we watch Big Brother, whatever, because it's like juicy. Come on, like I don't know. I get it. Like, I love the tea. Like, spill all the tea. Come on, like. So I do get it. I do get why they're interested. I don't get, like, more what I don't get is when they think they know the facts. That's annoying. Because I'll have people like being like, you love men from Laventille. And I'm like, oh, I actually thought I'd never even dated a man from Laventille, but like, okay, I guess you know more than me. You know, like when they like state these things as facts, and then if I even say, oh, that's actually incorrect, they're like, you're lying. You know, like when they like literally, it's like so weird. Like when they literally like state their random fantasy as like fact, that's like quite annoying. But when they just want to know and they're curious, I have no problem, because fair enough, I'm curious about you too. I don't know.
Was there any parts of you that you felt like you had to leave behind to become who you are today?
Yeah, so like maybe around like more in my early 20s and stuff, when I was living sometimes at my mum's, and like sometimes I lived in London for like periods as well. Especially in London, I would get quite involved in like community things, because I've always been, well, always since I was like an adult, I've been quite passionate about like social justice and politics, and you know, I'll join in, like I'll be signing petitions about the things I believe are right. I'll be volunteering at these community things, whatever, you know, trying to like do what I think is the right thing in terms of making a positive impact on the world and on my community and stuff. So like, for example, just before I flew out with my backpack in 2022, I was living in South London, and I was volunteering. It was like every Friday with this charity that helped refugees who had recently arrived in the UK. And you know, that was really important to me. Like, I think everybody should have the right to seek asylum, whatever, you know, like, so that stuff is important to me. And even throughout university, like I was volunteering with this charity that we would do like after school clubs for like at-risk children who were at risk of like being excluded from school and things like that. You know, I'm just like passionate about community and like that kind of thing. But then obviously when I then was just moving from like country to country to country, it wasn't possible to like volunteer here every Friday or whatever, because I'm moving around. So I also then became like kind of disconnected from like the politics and what was going on here, because there's a time difference. I'm not listening to like, I don't know, radio here, or, you know, you just become disconnected, don't you, from what's happening back where you're from the longer that you're away. So then like my sister will still be there going to these like protests, or, you know, doing all this activism. She'll still be doing the activism that I used to do with her, and I'm seeing it on her Instagram, or I'm, you know, she's telling me about it. But as time goes on, like I have maybe a bit less and less brain capacity to even listen to it, because it feels a bit more irrelevant, because I'm now here dealing with my stuff. So I do feel like I haven't fully lost it, because even in the places where I spend a lot of time now, I do still get involved. Like I've done a lot of volunteering in Trinidad, for example. So I do still try to get involved like in community stuff. But I definitely feel like if I hadn't taken this path, like if I hadn't chosen to like become a travel blogger, then probably I would have taken the path of like working in a charity, or, you know, I would have like taken that path. So sometimes I do feel sad when I see like my sister joining in with all these things. I do feel like, oh, like, you know, I should have been doing that kind of thing, you know?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's I shouldn't say it's crazy. It's cool because I feel like I always felt like um the Caribbean. Well, I can talk about Trinidad. I can talk about the Caribbean, but Trinidad is actually is that's actually something that Trinidad is missing, like activism. You know, I feel like there's a lot of there are a few, but I feel like in terms of activists, I like for instance, I mean, we could cut this out as well. Like for instance, I feel like in Trinidad, the police could kill somebody, and there would be silence. Whereas if that same thing was to happen in like Canada or America, the streets it will go crazy. You know. Whereas there's like, oh, they had a gun on them. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I try, because I have a large following in Trinidad. I have to be careful about like how deep I
Definitely.
speak, how deeply I speak about this kind of topic. This is like a conversation that I would have with you off the podcast, but like on here, I don't think it's sensible for me to like say too much about that, because unfortunately I think Trinidad is a place where like you can't actually talk that much
No, you're
about
right. No,
these
you
things,
can't. You
kind of,
can't.
especially if you're in the public eye a little bit, which I find like really difficult. But yeah, I do agree that like I would love to see like more activism in like some of the places that I go. But yeah, I think I just can't speak about it too much on this podcast. But yeah, I definitely think the attitude towards the kind of situation you just mentioned is generally very different in the Caribbean than it is in like America and England and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just something I always thought of. Like I always tell people that we just need activism, like people who brave enough to do certain things, and it's sad.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also easy to like say that. You don't have to cut this out. Like, it's easy for us to like say that, but remember, like a lot of people need their 9 to 5 to survive, and a lot of people, if their boss saw them like protesting or whatever, they might fire them. Do you know what I mean? And all of a sudden, they can't feed their kids. So like, in certain ways, you have to be, especially in certain countries
Definitely.
with certain
Definitely.
law, you have to be extremely brave and willing to like risk it all
Yeah.
to like protest or do whatever activism. And like we can't really expect that from everyone, do you know what I mean? Because people need to survive. So
Yeah, and it's
a tough one, but
like I always say, like I feel like one of the best things that happened for like America was that whole civil rights movement, because they went through what Trinidad still has to go through. So they went through all of it, and then look at them now. Now they could protest, and whereas in and we could cut this out as I say, but whereas in Trinidad, apparently you need to protest. You need a what do you call it from the government? Like you need to go and apply for a permit. You need a permit to protest. You need like to get a permit and say why you're going to protest for.
you actually need that in the UK as well.
Or in the UK too, you see? Whereas here I can just go on and protest is in your right, you know? But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a weird place to be, and I wish that it could be better. But I think that's the only issue with Trinidad I feel like is the crime, you know? And it's sad to me, you know. Other than that, I think it's one of the best countries. To me, it's the best country in the world in terms of the culture and everything. It's but yeah, with the mindset that you have right now, to go talk to 12-year-old Zoe who was being bullied in school, you know, if you could talk to her and say one thing, what would you say?
I wouldn't even say I was bullied, you know, I'd say I was just ignored. But I would probably say, I mean, yeah, I would probably just say, you know, that these people are irrelevant. But I think I already knew they were, you know, like, but yeah, I would probably just say that, yeah, like these people are irrelevant and just do your thing. I mean, I did in school. What I did was I just ignored them. I just did my work, got very good grades. I don't know, I think I was quite sensible. I think I dealt with it quite well. Like, I would just say, okay, boys don't matter. Don't study the boys. It doesn't matter that everyone else is kissing boys in the playground and you're not, because lots of very nice boys will fancy you when you're older, so it's okay. I don't know. I don't know. I think like I just got on with it. Really, at the time, I just got on with it. So
Yeah. Were you smart? You seem like you were smart.
yeah,
You see, so I think that's
Yeah.
that's what saved you. Mine, I wasn't smart. I would change my my E's to B's on my report card, and my mom would say, my mom would be like, "Yo, why did she say needs to focus if you get a B?" It's like, well, it was actually an E. I would change my grades, my F's and everything. I would change them. So that
Oh no! All I did, because I had no reason to socialize, I just sat there and did my work, like literally.
God forbid, if you were to be gone today, what would you want people to know about you, and who would you want to be remembered as?
I would want to be remembered as someone who was like open-minded and tried to like see the good in every place in the world and, you know, in every person. And I'd hope to inspire others to do the same, to live with an open mind and like try and see the good in, you know, people and places. Yeah, that'll be enough.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, but thanks again then. Thanks again for taking the time, because I know you might be busy and I know you have a meeting soon. And just for respond, I didn't even expect you to respond. I was just like, let me send a message and see what you do, you know, and then it just worked out good. So thanks a lot though.
No worries.
Yeah, and yeah.